Hey there. Tonight, we're diving into what life was really like as a caveman. And no, I'm not talking about the cartoon version with clubs, growls, and goofy antics. I mean the real, everyday experience of people who lived around 25,000 years ago. Oh, and quick pause. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, I'd love it if you hit that like or subscribe button. Also, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is there. It always amazes me how people all over the world fall asleep to this. Okay, get comfortable. Take a slow, deep breath, let it out, and sink into whatever you're lying on, because we're traveling back to the Paleolithic era. And trust me, you're going to feel really grateful for your mattress by the end of this. So picture this. You wake up inside a cave, 25,000 years in the past. The first thing you notice, the cold. Not just a little chilly, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones, makes your teeth chatter, and forces your muscles to clench. You're lying on what has to be the worst version of a bed ever invented. Bundles of sedge grass and rushes that someone carefully arranged into a mat. It's rough, scratchy, and unforgiving. The stiff grass stalks jab through the animal hide you've pulled over yourself, and every time you move, they crunch and rustle like the loudest, most uncomfortable cereal you've ever laid on. Your nose fills with an overwhelming mix of smells. There's the smoky scent of last night's fire, but also something damp and earthy from the cave walls. The aroma of roasted meat still lingers in the air, blending with the strong, sharp scent of unwashed bodies. Add in the greasy tang of animal fat, used for waterproofing and warmth, and the faint green smell of all that grass bedding. It's intense. The cave itself almost feels alive. You can hear faint echoes of dripping water deeper inside, like the cave is breathing. Around you, about 20 people are scattered on their own makeshift beds. Someone snores softly. A baby lets out those tiny, half-dreaming sounds babies make in their sleep. From outside the cave entrance, birds are calling as the day begins, and you catch the faint rustle of some animal moving through the brush. Your body is sore, and not just a little sore, aching. Yesterday was full of hunting, gathering, and endless walking, and you feel it in every muscle. Your feet, calloused and tough as leather, are still throbbing from climbing over rocks. Your back has that stiff, locked-up feeling that comes from spending every night of your life on the ground. The good news? You're alive. The bad news? Pretty much everything else. But let's clear up one thing. You're not some clumsy brute just stumbling around in furs. You're highly skilled. Like, seriously skilled. You know how to identify and use hundreds of plants. You can read the land, noticing the tiniest details, like a bent blade of grass or a faint scuff mark that reveal where an animal has passed. You can build fire from nothing, shape stone into blades sharper than modern steel, and predict a weather shifts just by watching birds in flight. And here's the kicker. You need every single one of those skills just to survive. You roll slightly, trying to find a spot on the grass mat that isn't stabbing into your ribs. Ah, that's a little better. The animal skin covering you, maybe deer, maybe elk, actually keeps you fairly warm once you settle in. These hides have been carefully scraped, worked, and softened to make them flexible. Well, soft is relative. When you're living in the Stone Age, comfort has a very different meaning. As your eyes slowly adjust to the faint light slipping in through the cave's entrance, shapes begin to take form around you. Your family group is spread out across the main chamber, your partner and children close by. while parents, siblings, and cousins rest in little clusters around the fire pit. In total, there are 23 of you. That's about the average size for a band like this. And then there's the fire. Honestly, it's everything. The fire is the heart of your world, the difference between survival and misery. Right now, it's no more than a heap of glowing embers and pale ash. Someone, probably whoever drew the last night watch, has carefully kept it alive, feeding it just enough wood to keep the coals burning. The embers glow with deep reds and oranges, sending faint flickers of light dancing across the stone walls. But here's the thing, restarting that fire isn't as simple as flipping a switch. It takes patience, skill, and effort. Even if you're good at it, creating flame from nothing is hard. That's why your group never lets the fire die. At least one person is always responsible for keeping the embers alive, adding fuel carefully to preserve the heat without wasting precious wood. You can even smell what's been burning. Mostly oak and ash, with some birch mixed in. Everyone knows the differences. Oak burns long and steady. Birch catches easily and gives off a sweet scent. And pine? Great for kindling, but way too smoky for cooking. Your people have mastered this knowledge through generations. It's as essential as knowing how to breathe. Time to get moving. You push yourself upright, and every joint protests. Your hip cracks, your neck pops, and your shoulders creak in complaint. Welcome to life before chiropractors. Around you, others are waking as well. A massive yawn echoes through the chamber, setting off that strange chain reaction where you can't help but yawn too. Someone stretches, a groan bouncing faintly off the walls. The morning routine is always the same. Fire comes first. Without fire, nothing else happens. You stand carefully, feeling the chill of the stone floor press into the soles of your feet. The cave holds a steady temperature year-round, warmer than outside during winter, cooler in summer, but stone is still unforgiving. Even with calluses as thick as leather, the cold seeps through. As you walk toward the fire pit, you pass other members of the band, shaking off sleep. Carla, the sharpest tracker in your group, is already sitting up, checking over the stone blades and scrapers she keeps beside her bedding. Brune, probably the closest thing you have to a leader, is crouched over the embers, studying them closely, deciding which wood to feed them next. The fire pit itself is more than just a spot on the floor. It's a carefully built depression lined with stones, designed to hold the heat and reflect it upward. The ground around it tells a story of generations, smooth patches worn by people sitting in the same place for centuries, dark stains from countless meals, black marks from dropped embers, even the polished spots where stone tools have been shaped and sharpened for thousands upon thousands of hours. Brun glances up as you approach and gives you a nod. He's already picked out thin, dry kindling, bits of birch bark and twigs that catch flame quickly. Together, you arrange the wood in a neat structure, layering it carefully to create airflow. Then, side by side, you lean close to the glowing embers and blow gently, coaxing the fire back to life. The embers glow brighter as faint orange flames begin to curl around the birch bark. The smell of smoke thickens, blending with the dry scent of hot stone and old ash. A moment later, the flames spread, crackling to life until you're staring at a real fire again. Dancing, popping, alive. Fire that chases away the darkness and starts to thaw your cold hands. Fire is survival. Fire is safety. Fire is the line between human and animal. One by one, people gather closer to the flames, Children who were half asleep just moments ago are now alert, eyes wide, drawn to the warmth and light. Fire means comfort, but more importantly, it means food. And every stomach around the cave is reminding its owner that last night's dinner feels like a very long time ago. The upside of being a hunter-gatherer: no rent, no taxes, no boss waiting to scold you over missed deadlines. The downside: every single day begins with the same challenge. What are we going to eat today, and how do we get it? Yesterday was a good day. The hunters managed to bring down a deer, not enormous, but enough to feed everyone and leave a little for the morning. The gatherers returned with pouches stuffed full of berries, nuts, and roots, but that was yesterday. Today, the slate is wiped clean. The morning rhythm begins, as familiar as breathing. Someone heads down to the stream that flows past your cave, filling containers made from carved wood and animal bladders with icy clear water. Another person digs into the scraps from last night's deer, skewering chunks of leftover meat on sharpened sticks to hold over the flames. It's not a proper meal, more like reheating leftovers. But warm food on a cold morning feels like luxury. The smoky aroma of meat mixes with the birch-scented fire, and your stomach growls in anticipation. You chew your share slowly, just a few bites of warm venison, maybe some nuts from yesterday's foraging, and it's enough to take the edge off. While you eat, the day's planning begins, not in the way you'd recognize a meeting room, a whiteboard, bullet points, but in quiet, serious conversations around the fire. The stakes here aren't promotions or profits, they're survival. The hunting group, 6, maybe 7 people, plans to head east. Yesterday, someone spotted fresh deer tracks along that trail. Deer are predictable creatures. If you learn their habits, you can intercept them near water or feeding grounds. But hunting with stone-tipped spears and wooden clubs is brutally hard, dangerous, exhausting. More often than not, hunters come home empty-handed. The gatherers, meanwhile, will spread through the forest in every direction, searching for anything edible: berries, nuts, roots, mushrooms, bird eggs, insects, even plants with medicinal uses. Gathering may not sound as thrilling as hunting, but it's more dependable. You almost always find something. The real challenge is knowledge, knowing what will nourish you and what might kill you. You need to recognize which berries are safe, which roots are edible, which mushrooms are poisonous, and which nuts require special preparation before they can be eaten. You need to know where birds are nesting, when to check for eggs, and even where to find the best stone for making tools. This knowledge isn't written anywhere. No books, no internet, no instructions. It's all stored in human memory, passed down through stories and practice, tested by generations of trial, error, and sometimes tragedy. As the fire burns brighter and the cave warms, the next daily ritual begins. People check their tools. Stone blades dull quickly and need sharpening. Wooden spears crack, splinter, or warp and must be repaired. Everyone knows that without sharp tools and working weapons, survival becomes almost impossible. Clothing made from animal hides always needs attention, and today is no different. You check over your own small kit of essentials: the stone knife you crafted yourself, a sturdy wooden digging stick, and a leather pouch holding the materials for fire making. The knife shows a few tiny chips along its edge from yesterday's work. Nothing major, but sharpness is everything out here, so you settle down to resharpen it. Knapping, shaping stone into tools, is both an art and a science. You need to know exactly how each type of stone fractures, and how to strike it with the perfect angle and just the right amount of force. Too much pressure, and the tool shatters. Too little, and nothing happens. One wrong strike at the wrong angle, and hours of work are wasted. You find a comfortable spot, pick up your stone hammer, and begin. Tap, chip, strike. Each sound echoes softly through the cave. Around you, others are doing the same with their own tools. And together the rhythm creates a familiar music, the percussion of survival. Chip, chip, chip. The soundtrack of Paleolithic life. When you're finished, your knife gleams with a sharpness finer than most modern kitchen blades. You test it against a strip of leather, clean slice, effortless, good. This tool may very well mean the difference between eating or going hungry today. Around you, the cave is waking fully. Children old enough to help take on simple jobs, feeding the fire, tidying up sleeping mats, checking water containers. The younger ones stay close to their mothers, absorbing skills just by watching. There's no classroom, no lessons, no written instructions, just constant observation, imitation, and gradual practice until it becomes second nature. The littlest ones, babies and toddlers, remain close to the fire where it's warm. Mothers multitask, keeping them safe while also preparing tools and food. One mother nurses her baby while at the same time inspecting her digging stick for cracks. Multitasking, you realize, isn't a modern invention. It's been happening for millions of years. You shift position, settling into a more comfortable spot as the cave slowly fills with warmth. The familiar mix of sounds, smells, and textures from this morning ritual is oddly comforting. For all the harshness of this world, this is your life. These are your people. This is home. As the sun rises higher, beams of light reach farther into the cave. Activity quickens. People gather their gear and move toward the entrance, preparing to face another day of hunting, gathering, and searching for everything needed to survive. But before anyone leaves, there's one more essential task: reading the world outside. Brun, along with two seasoned hunters, makes his way to the cave's mouth. They study the sky, feel the air on their skin, and listen intently to the calls of birds and the movements of animals. Without meteorologists or radar, weather prediction relies on dozens of subtle signs: the shape of clouds hinting at storms, the direction of the wind, the behavior of birds that sense pressure changes, even the color of the dawn sky and the scents carried on the breeze. All of it matters because every decision depends on whether the day will bring sun, wind, or rain. Today, the signs look good. The sky above is clear, the wind calm, and the forest birds are carrying on with their usual chatter. No warning signs of storms, no uneasy silences, just the sounds of a normal morning. Conditions look good. It's time to face the day. You gather your gear, a stone knife, a sturdy digging stick, your leather carrying pouch, a bundle of fire-starting material wrapped in bark. Everything you own either fits in your hands or hangs from a simple belt made of twisted plant fibers. The gathering party assembles near the cave's entrance. 8 people today, including you. Each one equipped with the tools needed to search for food. You glance down at your clothing, leather leggings, and a tunic sewn from carefully worked deer hide, soft boots stuffed with dried grass for insulation, a heavier cloak ready to wrap around your shoulders if the weather turns cold. These aren't just scraps of hide thrown together. They're garments shaped and stitched with precision, sewn with sinew thread and bone needles, reinforced at the seams where the strain is greatest. The hides have been treated with animal fat, giving them a natural water resistance, functional durable, reliable. Everything about your outfit is designed for survival. No pockets. You don't need them when you only carry a few essential tools. No buttons, no zippers. Just leather ties and toggles carved from bone or antler. No cotton, no wool, no synthetics. Only what the land provides. Leather, fur, and plant fibers. All processed by hand, with those skills passed down through countless generations. Standing at the mouth of the cave, staring out into the vast forest, you feel that familiar mix of anticipation and unease. Out there is everything you need to live. Food, water, raw materials. But out there is also danger. Predators larger and stronger than you. Venomous snakes. Plants that can poison you. Rivers that can sweep you away in seconds. Cliffs, storms, rival humans who might not welcome strangers. Out there, survival depends on skill, awareness, and the strength of your group. You draw a deep breath of the morning air. It smells rich and alive. Damp soil, fallen leaves breaking down into the earth, fresh greenery stretching toward the sun, and the musky traces of animals that passed through recently. Clean air, untouched air, air that carries no trace of smoke from factories or chemicals from cars. The sunlight touches your face, warm and direct, not filtered through glass or reflected off buildings, just pure sunlight, the same source of energy your ancestors relied on for warmth, vision, and the rhythm of their lives. No electricity, no artificial glow, only the sun, the moon, the stars, and the fire you keep alive inside the cave. Your feet find the familiar path leading down toward the forest. The trail has been worn smooth by generations of footsteps. Every day, for hundreds of years, people like you have followed it out into the world. And if your band survives, if you survive, your children and grandchildren will walk it too. You shift your pouch to a more comfortable spot at your hip. Adjust your grip on the digging stick and prepare yourself for the long day ahead. The forest waits, and with it, the hope of food and the risk of danger. Behind you, the hunters are finishing their own preparations. They check spear points, review their plan, and carefully divide the few arrows tipped with the sharpest stone heads your people have been able to craft. Each weapon is precious. Each decision carries weight. The day has begun. Ahead of you, the gathering party moves quietly through the forest, every step deliberate, every sense alert for the smallest sign of something useful. This is your life. This is what it truly means to be human. Your muscles loosen as you settle into the steady rhythm of walking through familiar territory. With each step, the adventure of another day in the Paleolithic world unfolds around you. The forest closes in like a living presence. Every shadow is both promise and threat, sometimes food, sometimes danger, sometimes both at once. You're moving through what the future will one day call old-growth forest, but to you, it's simply home. Towering trees, oak, ash, beech, rise into a canopy so dense that sunlight filters through only in shifting beam and patches of gold. Some trunks are so massive it would take 6 people, hand in hand, to encircle them. Beneath the giants, smaller trees and shrubs crowd for space. The ground is layered with centuries of fallen leaves, damp and decomposing, softening each step into a muffled squelch. The sounds are everywhere. Birdsong, not just a handful of species like you'd hear in a modern park, but dozens of distinct calls ringing through the air at once. The scurry of small animals in the undergrowth, the sudden crack of a distant branch falling in the unseen depths, the wind moving through the leaves above in rolling waves. So strong you can hear it coming before it passes overhead. Your gathering party spreads into a loose formation. Everyone follows their own path, but always within earshot. No one ever ventures alone. Out here, isolation is death. Predators target solitary humans. Accidents, an injury, a fall, a wrong turn can mean never returning. And if you don't return, your family goes hungry. From about 20 feet to your left, Kessa, the best plant expert in your group, calls softly. She's found something. From about 20 feet to your left, Kessa, the best plant expert in your group, calls softly. She's found something. You push through a thicket of hazelnut bushes, their branches catching on your clothing, scratching at any bare skin, until you spot her crouched over a patch of plants. Broad, heart-shaped leaves, small, delicate white flowers. Wild garlic, she says, her voice carrying quiet satisfaction. It's a valuable discovery. Not just food, but medicine too. Wild garlic fights infection, and it gives flavor to meals that might otherwise taste flat. You kneel beside her, pulling out your digging stick. Simple tools, hardened wooden shafts, sharpened to a point and strengthened in fire, but perfectly designed for this task. Together, you work the bulbs loose from the soft forest soil. They come up easily, thumb-sized, covered in papery white skin, releasing that sharp, unmistakable scent of garlic. Kessa rubs one clean against her hand, bites into it, and chews thoughtfully. Good, strong, she says at last. These will keep well. You wrap the bulbs in a scrap of soft leather and slip them into your pouch. A solid start to the day. The group presses farther into the forest, following faint animal trails and the same winding paths your people have walked for countless generations. Every so often, someone spots something worth collecting. Hazelnuts, half-ripened berries, mushrooms sprouting from rotting logs. Only the safe ones, though. The dangerous varieties are left untouched. The knowledge guiding these choices is staggering. To survive in this world, you need to recognize hundreds of plants, what season they grow in, where they thrive, how to prepare them, and how to store them properly. Some are safe only at certain times of the year. Others demand complicated processing to strip away toxins. And some are nearly indistinguishable from deadly varieties, separated only by tiny details that mean the difference between a nourishing meal and a fatal mistake. Take mushrooms, for example. Your forest is full of them. Many are edible and delicious, but several are lethal, poison that can bring death in the slow, agonizing ways. The difference might be subtle, the color of the spores, the way a stem snaps in your hand, or even the faint scent when the cap is crushed. One wrong choice, and you're gone. Get it right, though, and you've secured a rich, valuable food source. Your people have been passing down this knowledge for thousands of years. Observation, teaching, and endless practice, generation after generation. No one forages alone until they've spent years under the watchful eyes of elders. Even now, with all your experience, if you find something unfamiliar, you double-check with others. Survival isn't about pride, it's about certainty. As the sun rises higher, your group pushes deeper into the forest. The morning chill fades, replaced by warmth from steady walking beneath layers of leather clothing. You shift your pouch into a more comfortable spot and keep moving with the others. Nearly an hour into the search, Toma's voice cuts through the forest. There's a sharp edge of excitement in his call. He's found something special. You push through dense undergrowth toward him, and then you see it. Honey, high in the trunk of an ancient oak, maybe 20 feet above the ground. A dark hollow marks the hive of wild bees. You watch them flying in and out, the faint golden scent of honey drifting on the breeze. Finding wild honey is like stumbling on treasure. It's pure energy, concentrated sugars your body craves, easy to digest and burn. It lasts without spoiling. It heals wounds and infections, and above all, it tastes extraordinary. When your diet usually revolves around meat, nuts, and foraged greens, honey is almost heavenly. But it's never easy to take. Plans form quickly. Toma, the best climber among you, volunteers to scale the tree. The rest of you will build a fire at the base to send smoke drifting up into the hive, calming the bees. Others prepare containers to hold the comb. Everyone knows what to do if things go wrong. Run, because wild bees aren't tame. They'll fight ferociously to defend their hive, and too many stings can be dangerous, even deadly. People have lost their lives trying to gather honey, but the reward makes the risk worth it. You gather dry wood and tinder, while others collect green leaves that will produce thick, heavy smoke. The fire must smolder, not blaze. You want to pacify the bees, not burn the tree. Soon, white smoke curls upward, rolling toward the hive entrance. The buzzing softens. Bees evolved alongside forest fires, and smoke triggers their instinct to gorge themselves with honey in preparation to flee. With their attention fixed on feeding, they're less likely to attack. Stripping down most of his clothing, fewer folds for bees to get trapped in, Toma grips the rough bark and begins to climb. He moves with the ease of someone who's been scaling trees since childhood, every motion steady and sure. Toma's hands and feet find grips in the bark that you can barely make out from below. Watching him climb, you're struck once again by how capable your people are. There are no gyms here, no fitness routines or workout plans. Strength, agility, and endurance come naturally, built from a lifetime of moving, carrying, climbing, and surviving. Every muscle has a purpose. Toma moves with the grace of a modern rock climber, but his skills weren't learned in a sports class. They were shaped by necessity, practiced since childhood, because his very survival has always depended on it. Each motion is confident, efficient, and deliberate. Below, the fire continues to send steady streams of smoke curling upward. The sound of buzzing remains low, not the angry roar you'd expect from disturbed bees. That's good. It means the smoke is working. At last, Toma reaches the hive. He steadies himself, then slowly slips his hand into the hollow. He's searching carefully, feeling for pieces of comb that can be taken without destroying the entire colony. Honey isn't just a prize, it's a renewable gift. Take too much, and the bees might abandon the hive altogether. But take just enough, and the colony survives, ensuring more honey in the future. As the golden honeycomb is carefully lowered from the tree and passed around, the group buzzes with quiet excitement, almost like the bees themselves. Sweetness touches your tongue, rare and precious, and for a moment, the struggles of survival fade into simple joy. This is what it means to live in the Paleolithic world: danger, effort, and hardship balanced by moments of triumph that keep you moving forward. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, another hunt, another search for food, another fight against the elements. But today, as the fire crackles back at the cave, as children laugh with sticky fingers, as the forest breathes around you, you are alive, and that is everything. This is the story of us, the story of humanity, the story of how, step by step, struggle by struggle, we learned not just to survive, but to become who we are today.